Familiar ba kayo sa taong ito? At ano kaya ang connection niya sa topic natin ngayon? Siya si Chevalier de Mer at mahabang name niya, Untitled Chapter de Mer. Susang haba. He started to study the games of chance that leads to probability. At alam niyo bang siyang nagsimula ng larong ito? In-study niya ang games of chance. So, mahilig kasi siya sa gambling. At gusto niya manalo lagi. Through the experiments of help of Pierre de Fermat and Blaise Pascal, na-introduce niya ang words of possible outcomes. So, kung mananalo sila, ilan kaya ang kanilang magiging panalo? Pag natalo sila, ilan ang magiging kanilang talo? So, dahil dito, nag-start ang topic natin na determining the number of possible outcomes of an experiment. Bibigyan ko kayo ngayon ng kaunting idea about sa possible outcomes. Familiar ba kayo sa news ng West Philippine Sea? Kung familiar na kayo o hindi man, ipi-play pa rin natin to. So let's watch the news from ANC.
In other news, almost 300 Chinese maritime militia vessels remain scattered in different areas of Kalayaan, Palawan, both within and outside the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. The National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea says patrols conducted on May 9th showed that 287 Chinese vessels were still in Philippine waters. The task force says that this incident prompts possible diplomatic actions. The Philippines has been protesting against China's incursions, demanding the immediate withdrawal of their ships.
Ayan, napakinggan na natin ang news about it. So, biruin mo maraming mga Chinese near sa ating West Philippine Sea. Okay, so dahil dyan, meron tayong questions. What are the possible outcomes if China's claim the West Philippine Sea? Ano kaya ang mangyayari pag ang China na-claim ang ating West Philippine Sea? So, ito yung mga possible outcomes. War between China and Philippines. So, pag hindi natin give up yung West Philippine Sea, maaaring magkaroon ng war. Pangalawa, pwede rin magkaroon ng peace pag give up natin yung territory natin. Or either sa dalawa, kung titigil yung China na kupkupin ang ating West Philippine Sea, pwede rin magkaroon ng peace. So, yun sa mga dalawa ang merong possible outcomes. Now, meron na kayong idea sa possible outcomes. Palawakin pa natin siya using mathematics. What is the possible outcomes in mathematics? So, unahin muna natin si outcomes. The outcome ay a possible result of an experiment or trial. At yung experiment or trial na yan, ito yung any activity with an observable result. So, pag sinabi ito yung any activity, ito yung tinatawag natin na rolling a die. Yun yung mga experiment or a trial. Ano pa? Ito yung spin the wheel. Flipping a coin. So, yun yung mga activity na ginagawa natin. Ang tawag sa kanila ay experiment. So, yung possible outcomes naman is a list of all the resulting possibilities from an event. So, pag sinabi natin possible outcomes, lahat ng list na resulta na maaaring lumabas galing kay event. So, ano ba yung event na yan? So, ito yung sinusulat natin na as subset of a sample space. So, ito yung itsura ng sample space. So, by letter S and equals the nursing symbols, ito yung symbols natin for the sample space. And then we have the symbol for this one. Bago tayo magsulat, ito yung sinasabi ng subset of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, ito yung ating experiment, yung rolling a die once. So, ito yung kanyang resulta. Ito yung kanyang possible outcomes. Sinulat siya with a subset of sample space. So, malinaw. Again, this is the experiment, yung rolling a die, and this is the possible outcomes using the subset of sample space. So ngayon, alamin naman natin, ano ba yung mga different methods na yan para makuha natin ang possible outcomes. So meron tayong mga different methods to determine the possible outcomes of an experiment. So, Apat siya. So, pwede tayong pumili ng isa para lang ma-find out natin ang possible outcomes. So, alin sa mga method na to ay pwede natin gamitin, pero siguraduhin lang natin na dapat pareho ang isang experiment na gagamitin natin. Kung isang experiment, for example, rolling a die, at pag ginamit natin yung mga different methods na yan, ibig sabihin, iisa lang ang resulta na lalabas. Okay, so ngayon, kahit anong methods ang pwedeng gamitin, ay pwede nating makuha ang resulta ng possible outcomes. Unahin natin to. Sa table ay may ganitong example. Ayan. Sa input, may output. Next, sa tree diagram, na para siyang tree. Sa systematic listing, ginagawa siya para sa sample space. Ayan. Showing possible outcomes by sample space. Next, si FCP, o Fundamental Counting Principles. Or, kinakount lang natin yung possible outcomes for the first one and the second, then you're going to multiply it. So, yun siya. Now, let's go to the next slide. Gamitin natin itong mga ito para makuha ang possible outcomes of an experiment. Alright. Money is not everything, but money is something very important to obtain our needs, especially during this pandemic. Are you agree? Of course, I am agree. So let's get the possible outcomes of a coin. In flipping a coin twice, how many possible outcomes are there? So let's use the table. First flip, we have the second flip. So the first flip, we have the head and tail. And the second flip, we have the head and tail. Ngayon, pagsasamahin natin yan to find out the possible outcome. So your first flip, we have the head. And the second flip is the head and head. Another one is tail, head. And next, head, tail. Then tail, tail. Na-count na lang natin siya kung ilan. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 possible outcomes of flipping a coin twice. Okay, kanina sa first slide natin, kinuha natin yung table. So yung possible outcomes niya ay may resulta na 4. So with this time, let's use the other method. Tingnan natin kung pareho yung magiging resulta niya. So Fundamental Counting Principles or FCP. So in the first flip, kinuha natin yung possible outcomes, head or tail. So in the second flip, meron tayong possible outcomes din. Si head or tail. So there are 2 and 2. They're going to multiply it. 2 times 2 is 4. So it means it's correct. So pareho na siya na resulta, no? So tingnan mo natin yung iba pang method kung magiging pareho ang magiging resulta. Let's use the systematic listing. Okay, S equals to subset of heads and heads, then head, tail, tail, head, tail, and tail. So let's count the systematic listing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4. How about the tree diagram? So it's like a tree. So let's just flipping a coin twice. This is the head, and this is the tail, and this is the head, and this is the tail, and this is the head, and this is a tail. Now, kunin natin mga results. So, possible daw niya ay 4. So, let's see. Head, 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 tail, tail, head, and tail, tail. So, this is the head and head, tail, tail, head, and tail, tail. So, there are 4. So, it's same. So, see? So, lahat ng mga different methods na yan, pag isa lang ang experiment na ginamit nyo, pare-pareho lang din ang magiging sagot niya. So, it means any of the different methods or any method na gagamitin natin, isa lang ang magiging resulta. Okay? Ngayon na pag-aralan na natin ang different methods of possible outcomes, ngayon alamin naman natin sa cooking time ni Heroes Restaurants ang mga possible outcomes. So, ito yung kanyang food, pancit malabon, kakanin, lugaw, and drinks, buko juice, iced tea, and mango shake. The problem is, Si Mr. Rizal is going to choose a food and drink from Hero's restaurant for his merienda. The food and drink choices are as follows. So how many food and drink choices will he have? Show your answer in table and tree diagram. Yes, so unahin muna natin si table. Okay, key table, we have the food and drinks, pansit malabon, then kakanin, and lugaw. So, pagsamahin na natin sila. So, may mga symbol, gamitin natin yung symbol nila para mabilis tayo. Sa PB, yun yung pansit malabon combination ni buko juice. And kakanin or K, and then buko juice P. Then L for lugaw, B for buko juice. Then for iced tea, PI, KI, and for LI. So, yun yung mga combination nila. And for mango shake, PM, for pansit malabon mango shake, and kakanin, mango shake, and lugaw, mango shake. So, bilangin na natin siya. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, yan ay may 9 na possible food and drink choices sa Hero's Restaurant. Ano naman kaya pag gumamit tayo ng ibang method? Tingnan natin kung pareho sila ng resulta. Tree diagram. There's a food and drink choices in Hero's Restaurant. Una, si P, K, and L. So, sabihin natin P is pasit malabon, K kakanin, L is lugaw. So, ito yung mga drinks niya. Yan. So, doon na magkakamin, lagyan natin yung drinks natin. At ganoon din kay lugaw. Alright, so na-count natin 9 ang possible food and drink choices. Tingnan natin. PB, PI, PM. KB, KI, KM. LB, LI, LL. So, tama. 9 possible food and drink choices yan. Ayan, napag-aralan na natin ang different methods at na-practice ka na rin tayo. Ngayon is your turn. So, let's work it out. So, kayo naman ang sasagot. Let's have this one. So, meron tayong spaghetti, pansit malabon, at 3 drinks, Royal, Coca-Cola, and Sprite. And ang gagawin natin ay find the number of the possible outcomes of an experiment using systematic listing method. So, alam natin pag gumamit tayo ng systematic listing method, kailangan i-show natin siya as sample space. So, let's do this. S equals to spaghetti, royal, spaghetti, Coca-Cola, yung mga combinations niya. Doon muna tayo sa spaghetti. Then, spaghetti Sprite. So, tapos na tayo kay spaghetti, na-combine na natin siya kay mga drinks. Punta na tayo kay pansit bihon. Pansit bihon royal, pansit bihon Coca-Cola, and pansit bihon Sprite. So, ngayon bilangin na natin kung ilan sila na possible outcomes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, there are 6. So, there are 6 possible outcomes. Ayan. Next, punta tayo sa next slide. Okay, so let's work it out doon naman sa weather. So, meron tayong Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. At may mga makikita tayong mga weather. But, we're going to find the number possible outcomes of an experiment tree diagram. So, ito yung questions. What is the possible outcomes of rainy days in Tuesday to Friday? So, kunin natin possible outcomes. Picture na lang gamitin natin. And then we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Okay, so yun yung mga rainy days natin. So, mga tag-ulan. So, count natin. So, they are 1, 2, 3, 4. So, there are 4 possible outcomes. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Let's work it out with the spinner. The spinner can land on either red, blue, or yellow, then you spin twice. So, kunin natin siya using the fundamental counting principle method. So, sa first spin, 3 ang possible outcomes na kuha natin. So, yung red, yellow, tsaka blue. And the second spin, 3 din yung outcomes. So, kasi FCP yung gagamitin natin na method. So, multiply lang natin yon 3 times 3 equals to 9. So that is the possible outcomes. And let's work it out with the chess tournament. So using a table method. Okay, the chess club must decide when to meet for a practice. The possible days are Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. The possible times are 3, 4, or 5 p.m. So, kunin na natin siya using the table method. So, ito yung day and time. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Then, time, 3, 4, 5. Kunin na natin siyang symbol na lang muna. T3, or Tuesday at 3 p.m. Then T4, Tuesday for 4 p.m. and T5, Tuesday for 5 p.m. Then for Wednesday, they have W3, W4, W5. And TH3 and TH4 and TH5. So kung i-count natin lahat yan, there are 9 possible outcomes. Alright, so that's the last workout out. So bago tayo mag-end, yan, isang katutak ng mga palakpak. So, ito yung aking iiwan sa inyo bago tayo mag-end. A good strategy should dictate the right actions. Any action must not be impulsive, but analyze along with all its possible outcomes. So, binagit si possible outcomes. A solid plan always includes many backups and alternatives. That's according kay Diane at Sherman.